Thinking about all these things you got to do, wondering how, mindset will impact your life. Pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. Join our co-sponsors, Dom Dev Enterprises and Page Investments, and our friends at D1 Development, Island Ease, Sammy's Chicken, and Cara and the boys down there on West Side Barbershop. Them said who got me ship and shape because, I got to look good seeing that I ain't as fit as I used to be. But our special guest today can try to get me in that mode so that I could get back out there and do some things and become Superman again. Well, post your questions. Ask whatever it is that you want to know because we got all kinds of things going on in our society. Let us know where you are. Tell us what you're thinking about. And we will go from there. Share, 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 share. Let all your friends know we're live. And we'll be right back.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles.
All right. We're back. Welcome to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. And what we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative 2 for 2. So this evening, as we mentioned, we have a very special guest as usual. And this particular one is Mr. Donovan J. Rolle from J Fitness. And there you see, big J on the chest, J Fitness. So you see, I'm a little bit out of uniform today because I should have had on my tracksuit and in the old days you used to have a tracksuit and you used to have your Adidas stripes on the sleeves and everything, and your shoes had to be Adidas.
Run DMC.
All day we dream about sports. Some people say something else, but we say sports. Welcome, Donovan. How you doing?
Thank you, dear Bobby. I am happy. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited. I am excited. I have to keep my enthusiasm. I have to bring it down. I have to try meditate, man. It's always good to be in the company of you, my brother.
Yes. And so likewise, but you don't bring it down. I need to bring it up because I gotta get my steps up again. I can't be slunking when you get a little chop up and they burn you up and they poison you and then you gotta rebuild. But you gotta build step by step.
Like the young people say less, say less, say less.
Say less. Yeah. Well, the producer got me eating some funny things, but now we gotta catch up with the physical thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Then. And the nutrition is one of the 3 pillars of of wellness.
Mm-hmm.
It's exercise, nutrition, and rest. So you're a third of the way there.
Yeah. Well, a little more than a third, but we ain't gonna talk about the other parts. So what I know though is that you're a certified group fitness instructor. You're also a proprietor, as we mentioned, of J Fitness, as you see on your shirt. You're also a speaker and an author.
Yes, sir.
Author of 2 books. We got 2 big, gigantic books on display in the background. And you see them. And
yes, sir.
Heart of the Spartans. Yeah. Aroo. Yes. And so we also know that you are a distinguished Toastmaster. Mm-hmm. So besides,
I better use proper grammar and minimize my and ums since you said that.
No. On this show, this is all about being Bahamian.
Say less, my brother. Say less.
We believe in representing right.
Yes,
how
sir.
It
yes,
really
sir.
is. The Bahamian is a language. Mm-hmm. I don't think Bahamians believe it's a language. They think it's a dialect, but I mean, it's a real language. But
I agree.
It's a derivative from of a major language. But I'm not going to get into the details of that right now. But we also know that you are a member of Pi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and you have, I guess, too many certifications from them to really mention. And like, what you went to one school name, well, Red School, but
When you say red, you mean the big red machine? You mean
yeah,
Augustus College? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know, they say there's only two types of people in the world, my brother.
Yeah, one who went to QC and one who went to SAC.
No, those who went to St. Augustine and those who wish they did.
No, don't try that. You come after me. It was those who went to QC and those who went to SAC. Yeah.
You know, the conferences come around once every 100 years, eh?
Yeah. Don't worry about that. I'm a derivative of the government high school. So
okay.
I say something. Right?
That does say something.
Yeah.
That does say something.
Not that much sank in this noggin here, but at least she tried. Yeah. But you know, people don't realize with all this fitness and stuff like that, you need that because you have a family, a lovely wife, and then you have four. All of 4 children.
Yes, sir.
What is 2 twins or 1 twins?
So you'll be correct in saying, even though in the Bahamian vernacular we say 2 twins, you would actually be correct in saying 2 twins in slap. Yeah. So 2 sets of twins. London and Donovan Jr. They're 16 years of age, and then there's Jalen and Jaden, who just recently had their first birthday in October.
Yeah, and that was a boss birthday party. People, you're going to call up Donovan and ask him how to throw a party because I had fun.
Yeah, man. You left so quick, man. I had to do a wardrobe change, and then they say Happy was gone, you know.
Yeah, but we got instructions that this was a drive-by, and
yes.
Stay, and you
correct.
know when the women's them say you can't stay,
you gotta go.
Stay, right? But you coin a term that we like when we talk about get your mind right, right? And we're on this road of getting past COVID, or at least past where we feel before this 4th wave come, we might have to go back a little bit. But so that's going to be a tough road moving forward from COVID if we pass, and we're going to have plenty of novel challenges coming along the way. And so we ask the question is, why is it important for us to get our mind right at this stage of the game?
Well, I mean, like at any stage, more particularly this stage, it's important to get your mind right because you are your thoughts. You know, they say your thoughts become your actions, and then your action becomes who you are over a repeated amount of time. So it's important not to. Yes, COVID is real. Yes, many have died. Many have gotten sick. Many have lost their jobs due to the COVID, due to the pandemic, and a lot of hardship has faced people. But it's important for you to remember that, like anything in life, this too shall pass.
Right.
So only those who are strong and those who see this as just a chapter in their life and not the whole book will be able to get through this. And this is where the mental aspect comes. So you need to project where you want to be and who you want to be coming out of this pandemic. Because right now, there are things that we can do to stabilize ourselves to come out of this pandemic stronger.
Right. And so we've seen a number of things during this pandemic, things happening. And we've seen one thing most recent as of yesterday. And we talk about with the COVID and the lockdowns and the impact that it's had. We've had Dr. Nicolette Bethel on the show, and she has talked about the impact of COVID and from a social point of view. And then we've had Dr. Dwayne Sands. That was last week, yeah.
Okay.
And we talked a little bit about how do we break the back of COVID and some of the ills and stuff along with it. And so yesterday we had an incident where we had what I believe to be somebody who might have just had too much of COVID, being constrained and everything. And so, their mind is going a little astray. And he did some abusive things to a lady and then played AJ Floyd on with his car on, kind of thing, and so forth. But there has to be a number of people out there who are struggling right now. We were somewhat struggling before. I shouldn't say we, but there are people who are struggling before.
We're in this together. We're a community, so I understand. Right. I understand the we because we are a community, and what even though something might not directly affect us, if my neighbor is having a challenge, if all of my neighbors are having a challenge, and
Right.
my house is the big bright house, I am going to have a challenge.
Right.
So I think that's where we need to take the ego out of the stuff and look at it from a more utilitarian point of view, that we all are going through the storm. And
Right.
sometimes those of us who may be doing better in the storm think that we all are going through the same storm. While we might have the same storm, we all are in different boats.
Right.
So therefore, the storm affects us differently. And that's where empathy comes into play, that, I need to understand why some people may be acting differently than I'm acting because of lack of knowledge, or because their stress level is higher because the storm is affecting them differently.
Right.
But it's also important for us to be held accountable for our actions and
Yes.
understand that we are in control of ourselves. I had a good friend who recently passed. I know he didn't coin the phrase, but it was something I always remember. He said, "Hey, Jay, he who angers you controls you." So once we remember this, speaking about the incident yesterday, is that why would you want someone to have that much control over you?
Right. Right.
So we need to be mindful of our interaction and how our anger or our moment of lack of judgment can affect the society as a whole.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
one of the challenges with that too is that being able to arrest it or put it in order, or get the mind right before we get to the point where we get over the edge.
Yeah.
Because when we get into the edge or over the edge, we might not have the control that we once had in order to get things back. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up, so we could say, when I ask you why it's important to get the mind right, but also in terms of how do we go about getting the mind right in that situation? And not necessarily the person's already to the edge, but to help people so they don't get to the point of getting to the edge.
Okay.
And so forth.
I think part of the challenge too is our thoughts. I'm a firm believer that your mind actually doesn't know what is real and what you're imagining. Because if you see a shadow in a room and you think there's a stranger in the room to harm you,
Right.
your body would seize up. You'll start a flight or fright reaction. Even though, because your mind made that shadow real, even though it could just be a tree. So therefore, we have to be mindful what we tell ourselves. And I'm a big proponent that the mind and body goes hand in hand. That's why I believe in being physically fit.
Right.
Granted,
Right.
I believe the mind, the yin and the yang, because when we take care of our bodies, we release the endorphins. We are happier people. We are easier to be around, and then we are also social beings. So when we're easier to be around, people want to be around us.
Right.
And that's where we have the human interaction. I think that was missing during the COVID environment. We didn't realize how much that we needed the human interaction.
Right.
Even those of us who like to be home alone, it's like, whoa, I still home alone. I would like the option to say, I don't want to go.
Right.
So once we be mindful of our thoughts and like we spoke about earlier, the third component of wellness, which is rest, when we rest, we be in a better state for our body to heal. When we rest, we have further mental clarity. So certain things that would annoy us or bother us, we can see a way around that instead of just going to our first reaction. Because sometimes we are fickle beings. Sometimes we can't think the worst of a situation. But if we had better mental clarity, we could be like, you know what, maybe this is not the best way to react to that. Or maybe that person didn't mean it in the fashion that they said it. Right. And that's why I'm a firm believer in thoughts. I place myself in situations mentally before I have to face it. So I am programming my mind how to react. So when I hear about something that happened yesterday, I was like, you know what, while that is extreme, while I don't see why I would ever do something like that, I'd be like, what if I think the most extreme thing that may cause me to act like that? And I'd be like, you know what? How are you going to react? Right. How are you going to prepare yourself not to react in that fashion? And once we go through this projection and foreseeing, like just like I have a track background. We used to envision the race, so you used to go through the race steps. You used to be like from beginning to end. How you're going to perform in the race, and if someone does something around middle distance, how are you going to react to that? Are you going to go or you're not going to go? So therefore, it's important for us not to just see these situations, hear about these situations, be like, that's so sad and be outraged, but also try to put ourselves in someone else's shoe and be like, how can I ensure that I won't act that way?
Right, right. And part of that, I'm glad you mentioned that, especially the tie-in with the body and the mind, because I'm a firm believer in body, mind, and soul
Yes.
goes together, and you have to have the three of those in order to have any kind of success. But the other part is, I think it was Tom Peters, or Tom Peters. I can't remember which one. How his name is.
Tomato.
Right, but he said at a conference that I was at many moons ago that the mind is like a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the same way we train ourselves in baseball or track or football or rest to get our muscles stronger, and we have muscle memory and the mind works the same way. And you have to feed it what you want to make it stronger in that versus anything else. And then you will have injuries, whether it's a sprained ankle, whether it's a torn ligament or a broken leg. And so it's all degrees of mental injury also that we have. But we need to focus on those things. And like I said at the beginning part of the shows, what we believe is that what we think we become. And
Yes.
you just said that in a big way. Now, Simon T. Bailey had this to say about the whole thing, and he said that it not who you are that holds you back from brilliant success. It's who you think you are not that holds you back. And sometimes we focus on who we think we are instead of who we are. Right. And that also speaks to what you were talking about just now in terms of what we think and being able to address moving forward throughout all the trials and tribulations and straighten yourself. So what's your thoughts on what he has to say?
I don't mean to do this, but it brings you back to one of my favorite quotes with Henry Ford. The person who think they can and the person who think they cannot are both correct.
Yeah, okay.
So it goes back to your thinking and your thought. And then oftentimes, and this is why sometimes we need to write down our accomplishments. Because we all are trapped, become prisoners in the moments like, I haven't done anything with my life. I haven't done anything this year. But if we wrote down what we've done, you'd be like, you know what? Sometimes we are too hard on ourselves because we didn't accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish. So we major in the minor, but like, out of the 10 things I wanted to accomplish, I didn't accomplish these 2 things. So my entire year was a failure. Not realizing that you accomplished those 8 other stuff and some other stuff that you didn't even have on your list to accomplish. And that's why writing down your goals and ticking them off as you achieve them and having something to go back to would help you in reassuring yourself that you're moving in the right direction. Also, it's important to surround yourself in the right village. Some of us are fortunate to have that village. It's called family, but friends are your chosen family. So it's important us to have the right friends in our lives. I mean, yes, you have friends for different reasons, but if they aren't there to affirm you, and if they aren't there to speak truth to you, not just what you're doing wrong, just tell you what you want to hear, you might have the wrong circle of friends. So when you have people who are going to affirm you in your goals, people who are going to affirm you and pick you up when you're down, these are the people you need in your corner to remind you how great you are. Yes, you may have a step back, but success is not linear. Success is back, forward, up, down, left, right, through the mud. Sometimes the sun shines in the face, then the rain comes. But that's life. I have a friend that say, "Life keep on lifing, bro." You know, so it's life. Every day is not going to be a great day, but if you want rainbows, you have to accept the rain. So just have your village and also speak positive to yourself. You know what I mean? But I also say make sure that your self-talk is real talk. If it's one person you should not lie to, is yourself.
Yes, well, and it sure will lie to yourself if you don't, right? So Stephen Miller here says that on the power of positive thinking, Jay, do you have a vision board and where do you have it placed?
Well, last year, 2 years ago, I went through the process of doing a vision board. And I liked it, and I had it up so you could see it. But what I normally do now, I guess, is a a J vision board or just a goal list.
Right.
So the vision board was big and we
Mhm.
plastered it, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to write down my goals for the year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. So then I tick off, and here's the important thing. If you want to make sure you do some things, let people know what your goals are. I know in our culture, like, don't tell people they can steal your dreams, they can steal your goals, blah, blah, blah. But hey, if it's for you, it's for you.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to give it the same flair and discipline and passion you're going to bring to it because it's yours.
Right.
And once I realized, once you let people know, when you start to do actions that don't match up to that goal, real friends are going to remind you, hey, what you doing?
Right.
How are you going to accomplish that by doing this? You know, and so they hold you accountable. So that's why I'm a firm believer in wellness, or whatever you do, have an accountability partner.
Right.
So these why it's important to share your goals with people who have your best interest at heart, and they're going to help you attain it. And when you speak these things in the atmosphere, you'll find out that once you start and you speak these things, that you will start moving in a direction, and you would, quote unquote, stumble along people who can assist you with these goals. So the important thing is to start.
Yes, and there's something talking about the inner ear and hearing it in the inner ear yourself with what you speak. And you talked about writing down the activities and having the vision board. Miller has spoken of, but one of the things with the mind is that the mind is a creature of instructions, and so whatever instructions you feed it the most, that would be your dominant thought. And that process. And so that's one of the reasons why people tell people to write down or put pictures on their Frigidaire, because that's a common place that they go all of the time, so they could see what their vision, things that they want in their vision, that they want to achieve, and they see it all the time. And so then it's be reaffirmed to themselves. But also when you speak or you do a double do. When you write and speak the same time, then is ingrained in you more so.
All the senses, yes.
All of those different things work in hand the same way.
Like I had something on my fridge. It went something along the lines, one day I'm going to quit, but today is not going to be that day. But the wife moved that when it came to the new fridge, because it added a rusty into the old fridge, so I got to find a new place to put it. But it was a reminder, because we go to the fridge every day.
Yes.
So when we want to have these negative thoughts, not today. It's not going to be the day.
Yeah.
And these are sort of things that I speak about in the book, in the heart of a Spartan, goal setting, overcoming the obstacles. Your mind is your only limitation. So, I think it was something back in the days to come on, as a man, think it so as he. Granted, it referenced the Bible, but it was a show that used to come on, as a man, think it so as he, cause and effect. For every action, there's a reaction. They taking you back in the day, Happy.
No. Listen, I try to stay in those days where all of these. The bottom line for me, right? And I'm a strong mind person. I firmly believe that you have to direct your own course. Nobody could direct that for you. And with the mind being a creature of instructions, if you don't direct it and feed your mind with what you really want to be a dominant part of your life, either the world, the regular surroundings, watching the TV, the noise in the neighborhood, whatever it is, that will become dominant in your mind. Or worse still, somebody else feed it to take control of you. Yeah. And then the last step would be is if none of those are happening, you let your mind take control of you, because your mind will do that also.
Oh, the mind will one day. And if we stay with our own thoughts, we started here,
right?
And our mind would we go way right or left, and then the mind would start from that point. So now you upset with something you made up in your mind about how a situation will go, and then that becomes your dominant thought. Then you act out on that,
right?
Yeah,
I was telling the producer the other day that I used to get in fights every day in school, right? But I never used to get caught because I was so speedy, right? But I had to train myself not to have that temper. Right. So that's a process. And so when we talk about getting your mind right, that's a part of what I'm thinking that we should be talking about in getting your mind. How do we train ourselves to do the things that we want to do that we don't want to do. I always say anything is possible because we get up every morning and jump in our car and drive cross town in traffic to work for somebody else who don't have our best interests at heart. So if we could do that, then we could sacrifice whatever else we need to sacrifice so that we could achieve our goals. So,
right. I let me take it back to, I had an injury about 5 years ago, right? I had a tore my quadricep tendon, had surgery. I was a point in time that I could not raise my leg. So rehab reminded me about how we have to do the small things first. Do the small things, build the confidence, and you will continue to move along. So just like with the mind, start with the small things. Start today. You know what, today? I'm gonna have one more positive thought than I have yesterday. I'm gonna have one less negative thought. I'm gonna limit my interaction with that energy drainer today. So I'm gonna watch one more positive show. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? So is what you feed the mind, just slowly but surely, just like how wellness, your physical journey is step by step, Romans and Day, to get our mental health in order is a step as well. And it's important not to be too hard on yourself. So once I'm a big proponent, if you heard me talk before, about setting SMART goals. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. But whilst we set those major goals, there are also milestones along the way that we need to achieve. So once we want to sharpen the mind, we have to do things that help us to be sharpened. Like, for example, if I'm waiting on a client, I have me a Sudoku book to try keep my mind sharp. It's not listening to talk radio all day. Yes, that's where I get my information. So I'm keeping the mind sharp to do other things in life. I also play chess. So these sort of things that I do to keep my mind sharp as it relates to, I want to say, intellectual stuff, but also I feed my mind positive stuff. So I could keep that positively flowing through my body, so I could be a more positive and engaging person. Now, do I listen to some ratchet stuff from time to time? Yes, it's entertaining. You know what I mean?
But don't let it be the dominant thought.
No, it cannot, because and I think sometimes we watch these real life shows that are actually staged, reality shows, but they're staged. When you, more often than not, people tell you that these things happen on The Apprentice, for example. If you slow down the credits, they would tell you some people were eliminated just because there wasn't a perfect fit for the show. Not because they didn't do something right. So these things are about ratings, but we're looking at these things as real life. Even with the social media as affecting younger people now, people post their highlight reels on social media. This is the best of me, the best photo. I took 5 photos, put on 2 filters, and this is how I look. You know, I'm living my best life. Blah, blah, blah. So people are showing their highlight reels, and we are thinking this is real life, and then we are focusing on comparing ourselves to them instead of comparing our mental and physical growth from where we were yesterday, a week ago, or a year ago. If you made it through the pandemic, you should congratulate yourself. It was tough. It was tough on everyone. You know, everyone had a different level of tough, but being locked down, not having human interaction, may have lost income or less income, just bills piling up. So the stress levels were high. And if you made it through this far, yes, we're not out of it yet, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you should congratulate yourself that you are still standing. And that's the important thing, because many people aren't.
And I tell people to help themselves restart, reset, redirect, whatever they want to call it. Look at the things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis and see how many of those things will affect your life in 5 years towards the goals that you want to achieve. And if they're not going to contribute to you achieving those goals, mark on a piece of paper, I want to shut that down. So if it's the TV isn't helping you, go to YouTube instead of the TV. If you're still stuck on being in front of that square, then change TV into YouTube and use it for your positive gain and the like. I don't want to burst people's bubble, but professional sports on TV, for example, the NFL, the NBA, and stuff like that, they are people's toys, owners' toys. That's their script. That's their what's the people name in New York? Broadway.
Yes.
Where they have that's their script, that their program, and so all of that is schemed and connived and manipulated for who's going to win to get their business, the sport of the NFL and stuff, making money. So, but if you think that these teams going to win and stuff like, and you put all into it, you will go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Where you will be sinking into despair and depression and the like, because your team isn't winning. When these people sitting around the table just like a puppet master, pulling the strings at various things, right? Where some people get contracts, some don't get. Why they don't get it? It just don't fit their branding. So Lorraine McDonald, I think you know her. She says that that's your first book, Flows, and then you say, when will you write your next poetry book or poetry book? Because we can get into the other book, but poetry book today.
I mean,
poetry book.
We're in the making, Lorraine. You know what? Since I need a timeline, I work better with deadlines. So because you put me on the spot, the next one would be out before the end of next year, Lorraine. So bingo. Bingo.
Anything you want in the book, Lorraine? You can hear me. If you can hear me out there, yeah.
Let me know. Special for you. Let me know, and I'm going to write it down, and you're going to know when you see it.
That sounds like trouble. Anyway, so what's his name? Zig Ziglar says that success happens when preparedness meets opportunity. And so what we're talking about is getting your mind right, and we want you to prepare your mind to be right, so that when that opportunity comes about, you're already prepared to take advantage of that, and you can move in giant steps, right? So we're coming up onto the break now, and so, but one can be successful without fulfilling their purpose, and a lack of peace, to me, a lack of peace of mind, to me, tells me that you're not working towards your purpose. What's your thoughts on the difference between success and purpose? Because I don't see the two as being mutually exclusive.
You don't see them being mutually exclusive or mutually inclusive?
Yeah, inclusive, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. See, here's the thing. What is success? Are you defining success as what society? No, I'm getting there, because what happens is that sometimes we define success, or people define success for us, because you have a house, you have 1.5 children, a picket fence, and a dog. So that might have been the image of success. Right. But deep down, I'm a big proponent of you are. Oh yeah, right, okay. That you are successful when you are at peace, because the older we get, the more we realize that peace of mind, getting back to the mental, is really where it's at. Because oftentimes you work hard so you could relax later, right? But then you find yourself on the Ferris wheel, on the hamster wheel. You just keep going in circles. So to me, a successful person is someone who's oftentimes many of us can't do what we're passionate about initially. Right. And that's what I tell people, initially. But if you are passionate about something, you can find a way to get it done. But we have to track ourselves and start along the path. So I think once you find your passion and you attack it, you are going to be a success, because you are going to be a happier person. Peace of mind and happiness and sanity and good health, to me, is success. Right. You know, are you able, just like wellness, fitness, are you able to carry out your daily activities without huffing and puffing? So are you able to live a relatively, stress-free life because you place yourself in that situation, or you allow yourself to know what really matters? So that defines success to me. Not what someone else says. It's what is your, and that's where it goes to, what is your definition? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we wouldn't be for example, the world always teaches us that, like you say, the house with the wife and children and one dog and the fence, and I mean, you have to have a yard and maybe a nice car, and maybe could go on vacation for 2 weeks, and we look at that as being successful in our society. And people work very hard, stress themselves half to death to achieve those material things, when it's really peace of mind within themselves. That
There are millionaires committing suicide.
right,
You know, professional athletes doing sports that we love for a hobby as their job,
right,
following their passion, but still
for
there's
millions
something
of
missing,
dollars. Yeah,
right? For millions of dollars to play a game that we would play and hurt ourselves, argue about, fight about, and they're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game, and some of them are still unhappy. So
Right.
therefore, it goes to show, you know, money doesn't bring happiness. Granted, I prefer to have money problems than non-money problems,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But money cannot be the root of our happiness.
Right.
I firmly believe that it comes from inner peace, and I'm a big proponent of family. Now, some people have toxic relationships, so you have to let some of that go. But
Yep.
I'm a big proponent of family and the home being a place of peace.
Right. And so with that also, and if we working towards what we love versus chasing the money so we could get these things that we talk about, then some of those things might come later as a result of us working what is in our passion, what is in ourselves. Because I believe that once you are working and you are doing what you really love and what you're passionate for, you will have peace of mind. And once you have peace of mind, to me, you are aligned with your
Right, you'll have more
with your
mental
soul.
clarity to pursue it, and the Bible speaks about it. You know, your passion will make room for you. You know, so I just think we are afraid to leap, just because two things: we are afraid of what the outside would say,
Right.
and sometimes we are not comfortable in our own selves. So sometimes we're afraid. We second guess ourselves, so we are afraid of looking like a failure. But we fall so much times. Look at times kids fall down when they're trying to walk, but we were all unable to walk before, but we didn't give up. It's
Right.
only because we take on the views of others and how they see us that we don't want to fail anymore.
Right.
But be like a kid, you know what I mean? Fail forward and continue to do it until you get it right.
Right.
And then you'll realize a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll be further ahead than those people who were laughing at you and still at the same place.
Yeah, my baseball coach used to tell us fail fast. Right. You get up there and get strikeout as many times
Keep it
as you
moving.
want, because
Yeah.
there's only but so much strikeouts in you, and the rest can be hits. So
Yeah.
get past the
Yeah.
strikeouts quick.
Yes.
Right. And so forward. So as we go to the break, we'll ask this last question here, and then we'll take that break. You are a decorated, as I call it, accountant by academics and schooling and the rest of it, but you chose to switch to what you do now. To me, so one painted a picture of maybe I don't know how you got to get on accounts, but now you're doing the JFIT. What drove that change between going in that direction of the academic, I call it, and that might be the wrong word, but and now going into the kinetic.
Right. So because even in the industry that I'm in, I'm still keeping the brain sharp and staying on top of things. So I have more than one certification. So it's still focused on the mind to make sure I bring the best product to my clients. The reality of the situation is I got started. People were asking me because, you know, I did track, then I won Mr. Caribbean, Gold Gym, Fitness Champion, the first Bahamas bodybuilding fitness, you know, I got a tooth going on there, Fitness Champion. So people were asking, because these things bring credibility, asking for me to train them. And I was like, nah, I don't have time for it. You know, I was sort of being selfish, just focusing on me. But what happened was that I saw too many people training individuals who A1 qualified and B showing them the wrong things.
Right.
So I felt like it was my obligation to get in the industry and help people. And that's why I'm one of the most cost-effective persons in the industry, not because I don't know my worth, it's because I don't want cost to be a reason that you don't get healthy or that you go to someone else who is not really trained. They're going to teach you the wrong thing because they learned the wrong thing and they think it's the right thing. So that's how I started in the industry. And then, to be honest, I didn't jump right in. I was still doing the 9 to 5, and then I was balancing, the health and wellness to get people in their journey. And then it just came a point where it's like, you know what? Because of the profession, you got yourself in certain bills. So you needed to make that certain amount of money to handle those things. But it came a point where I had the opportunity to handle those bills and then move into my profession. So now the passion is carrying me. Granted, everyone doesn't have that luxury, but I also always tell people, while you are in your profession, focus on your passion. Fail while you have some capital to fall back on, that you're not using everything and use that capital to invest in the business, slowly buy your equipment, get your certifications, and then you could forward learn like that. So if you're in your desired profession because of academics, whether it was tertiary education or certifications, you still can use your additional time to get where you need to be. The challenge most of us face is that we don't want to work. We want to sleep. We want to party. We don't want to put in the work. And I think that's our biggest challenge. We want it to fall in our lap. It's going to be hard. It's not going to happen. I remember some days, you working people out there, 2 people out there, group fitness training, it's like, bro, this don't make no sense. But I made a commitment to those people that whether it's 22 or 2,000, I'm going to give the same effort regardless if you show up. So if you show up for me, I'm going to show up for you. So once I made that commitment, and I think that's what helped the J Fitness brand and the family brand, is that we are there for each other. So if you're there, I'm here for you. I don't care who shows up. If you come, you're gonna get the J attention. So I think, and that's how the brand develops into something organic. That here's a family atmosphere. Here is an environment that's empathetic to different people's needs, other than here's just a business relationship.
But you're doing something that you're passionate about, right? And so that makes it easy. When I say easy, I mean,
because when you're passionate about something, you're willing to go the extra mile. You're willing to dust off the failure. You're willing to put in the work to get things done.
Yeah, and you have more peace of mind. So that's your purpose. So that's awesome stuff there, because I hope people are understanding that some of the keys there that we talked about before on this segment was in terms of how to get the mind right. Follow your passion, and put the right stuff in your head, your mind, what you read, what you focus on, and the like, and we move forward. So you've been listening to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles. And we're here with Donovan J. Rolle from J Fitness, the man who never stopped, and ever ready battery.
Let's go,
Right,
let's go, dude.
Like 2 o'clock in the morning, he'll call you up and tell you, let's go. Right?
Let's go.
Yeah. So get involved.
Get involved.
Yeah. So we'll be right back after we pay the piper.
What's up?
Sammy's Chicken. There's nothing like it.
This is Coach Gettin Ya Knowles, founder and head coach at 242 Elite. I just wanted to talk to you guys about our first trip in program history to Orlando, Florida. On this trip, we went, like I said, to Orlando, Florida from July 1st to August 3rd. We played in 5 tournaments. We had at least 5 or 6 scrimmages. Came out with at least 25 games for the month. On top of that, the guys had workouts with prep school coaches. They had a few college coaches watch them, and 5 out of 9 of our guys have interest from prep schools and college programs thus far from the trip. I think it was a great experience for the guys. It was a great experience for myself. I was very proud of our guys. We had guys who were underage playing. We had some guys that even had their first time playing basketball, organized basketball this year. We came up with 2 second place and 1 first place. I think we did, again, pretty well. We hope to see the program strive. We're hoping to find a permanent sponsor to make this a regular thing and to keep it going and keep helping our youth get better opportunities and follow their dreams. We want to say thank you to all our sponsors, everybody that donated, and we couldn't have done it without y'all. So again, thank you, and we hope to see you guys again soon when we go off, hopefully in December.
Welcome back to Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knowles.
Keep the music going, Dale. Keep the music going. I was hyped. I almost started to do some jumping jacks, my brother.
Yeah, man. We're gonna put that music on in your program.
Say less. Say less.
Yes.
Say less.
Yeah, Stefan says good stuff.
Hey, bro.
Awesome. Yeah. So we here talking with Donovan, J Rolle from J Fitness, as we mentioned, and you can see. So, and we're talking about getting your mind right and the like. And so we went through some of the things before the break to help us understand what all is involved in that process. And what we want to touch on now is basically a few steps as to how to achieve those things, and then where we go from here to help you get over the top, what your steps would be after that. So DCK, myself, have 7 steps for success to achieve your goals and the like, right? Of which 4 of them have to deal with goals, sacrifices, mentors, and the game plan. Now, the good brother in front of us, Donovan, as we call him, Jay, he wrote a book. And the book is called The Heart of the Spartan.
Aru.
Let's say Aru, right? And so when we look at that concept, and particularly it focuses on goal settings and the importance of goal setting in our process to achieve the vision that we have for ourselves. The same thing applies to the mind and getting the mind right, which is a preparation process. And we talked about some of the things that affects the mind before the break. So now what we want to look, Jay, is These steps that I mentioned just now, how do you see those in alignment with actually getting the mind right? Are they relevant, or is it only in relation to traditional world?
No, I think you said goals, mentors, game plan, and what was
Sacrifice. You have to
sacrifice.
define
Yeah,
your sacrifices. If you don't
yeah.
define them, you will get eaten.
You sacrifice now or you sacrifice later. Like we say, when it deals with just your physical wellness is if you don't put in if you won't work and just eat bad and not exercise, you can lose
Right.
all that money to pay the doctor later.
Right.
So it's all about, and to achieve any goal, you have to sacrifice. I mean, so whether it's mental, physical, relationships, anything you want to do, you have to sacrifice the now for what you want later. So you have to not be so short-sighted. And that's and it all comes back to being mental. Like you have to recognize, hey, if I want this, I cannot do that.
Right.
Regardless of what the physical wants us to do, regardless of what the feeling inside say, let's make it
Right.
happen. Your mind is a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. The one of the most important muscle
Right.
in the body. So when it comes to making sacrifices, you need to be mindful of, and that's why goals are important. Because when we want to sway, we be like, okay, what's the goal? This doesn't help us get there. And it goes back to having your circle or a mentor, someone who has achieved something you have achieved before, or people who have done things, even if it's something different, they know the steps to get things done.
Yeah, they can
like I
help you
always
get
say,
there.
managers know how to manage. So regardless of the field, they know how to manage processes and how to deal with individuals. So therefore, people are, Dale is an accomplished person. If I want to be great at something else, I'd be like, Dale, hey, this is my plan. This is where I want to go in this. And you could say, here are some proven steps to success. You have to set your goal. You have to be disciplined. You have to be consistent. So nothing happens without consistency. I don't care what it is, you're not going to be good or great at anything. Even if you are a fast learner, you're not going to be great at anything if you are not consistent. And you have to put in the work. I often say that results follow work.
Right.
You put in the work, you put in the effort, you are going to retain your goal and get the results. And once again, that's the game plan. So when we talk about the game plan, to me, that's the SMART goals.
Right.
So that deals with the goals and how we're going to achieve and how we're going to measure it. And I always think that we need mentors, whatever it is, getting your mind right, getting your body right, getting your spirit right. But all these have a symbiotic relationship. So I cannot focus on getting the body right without getting the mind right, without getting the soul right. So these are we have to do all these things in tandem to make sure we are a more complete being, to be a better person as we go up the ladder to success.
Right. But as we're doing that though, I think one of the challenges we have is that people write down their goals. And like you say, it's SMART goals, so they might not write down all of the things when the goal is going to be achieved, right? And they might define a goal that might be too far down the road,
or even too vague,
out of reach or too vague. So it needs to be measurable, that as you mentioned, and so forth. So, but one of the things that I find that people don't do is define what they're going to sacrifice. Because today they might say, okay, it's going to be this, and this, and this, but then tomorrow they back at doing those things that they said they were going to sacrifice, and then they wonder why they're not moving forward.
See, that's confusing to me because
the goal is still there, but they're not doing the sacrifice. You were on track. You knew that you had to go and do so many exercises and so many things, and skills, drum tests and stuff every day, repetitively.
Yes.
But so that that's what that part of the sacrifice was. But what about in the kitchen, or what about otherwise?
Yeah, and see, all goes hand in hand. So I understand why sometimes when we get started, we don't realize all that we need to sacrifice. But once we realize it, it's important not to be too hard on ourselves. And once again, it's not linear. So when you have a step back, you'll be like, okay, that was a bad day. This is
Right.
not a bad life. So I still can go forward. But that's why it's important for the goal to be specific enough,
Right.
because now you know exactly what you're targeting. If
Mhm.
you just say you want to be a playing basketball, be a better free throw shooter, or even when it comes to your mental game, I want to be more at peace. What does that mean?
Mhm.
You know, what does being more at peace mean? So then you have to get in the weeds and say, this is what I mean by being more at peace. How are you going to measure it? I'm not going to when I in this type of situation, I'm not going to react that way. You know, so and those things are important. And like you said, what are you going to sacrifice?
Mhm.
Once you find that out, the biggest thing we need, time is time is the most highly the best commodity we have. You know, it's elusive. We cannot get it back.
Right.
So we have to be mindful that time in other areas is what we need to sacrifice, whether it's going to be time with family, time with friends, time with frolicking, whatever it is, you need to sacrifice that time to get to that goal. And that's where we come with balance. I often say, I'm going on a next tangent now, but
No, it's fine.
it's balance doesn't necessarily mean that this week we had complete balance with all aspects of our lives.
Right.
Balance means that sometimes I'm going to have to do more in this area to make sure that all areas of my life come in balance at the end of a particular period of time. So sometimes you might have to sacrifice family time to make sure you get things done. Sometimes you might have to sacrifice work time to make sure your family is stable. So these things we have to move in and to be mindful that when we focus on the goal, set the time for it, be strong. And whether it's mental or physical, spiritual, just set the goal, have milestones, reward yourself with applause. Oftentimes, especially when it comes to fitness, we reward ourselves with food. We reward ourselves with alcohol. You know, so we're breaking down ourselves with a reward, but we've been
Right. Yeah.
trained to say a reward or living our best life is having a destructive life to our body and our mind.
Right.
Other than, you know what, I'm going to reward myself with just saying, great job, bro.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
off today than you were yesterday. Pat yourself on the back. Toot your own on.
Right. And so if we put a live example to that, we just came to a general election, and a lot of people want to be leaders, right? But you know, we are taught, at least I was taught, in all of my career and the like, that leaders are readers. And that reading was something that was as far away from me in high school as if you had dog poo poo on the floor and nobody want to touch it, kind of thing, right? That wasn't gonna happen, right? The sports page, yes, you would read through that, but that's not really reading. So you had to learn to sacrifice time from doing something else, because like you said, there's only 24 hours in the day, and it's not stopping, it's not waiting for no man.
No pause,
You
no
have,
rewind.
you
No.
have to decide what you're going to use your time to do. And so, you know, I had to decide that I had to give up certain things in order to be able to read more, because I was not a fast reader like everybody else for where I should have been, to try and catch up, right? And so forth. So those things we have to be able to build into our system to be able to be successful at whatever the smart goal is that we're picking.
But here's let me add something, and this is where emotional intelligence comes into play. This is where we understand who we really are, because I read, but I get most of my information through listening or watching. So I'm a big history buff. I watch the History Channel. While you might read that story, I'm watching that story. You know, or I'm listening to that story. So while I may read, one of my favorite books is Who Moved My Cheese. The thing about it is that you have to understand yourself.
Right.
So if you know that if you pick up a novel or any self-help book and you're going to start and fall asleep, maybe you should go to Audible books now. Or maybe right. So therefore, just the physical idea of reading may not be the best for some. So you have to know yourself. And we often set ourselves up to fail because we place ourselves in environments that aren't conducive to success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you
But we
if you
can't be stressed out and put our mind someplace different because somebody wants us to read this or do it the traditional way.
Mhm.
But you have to find what is your niche. That's the best way to
Correct.
put it.
Correct.
Right? Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So Chavez Brown says, encouraged yourself.
Yeah.
So she's speaking Bahamian, I see.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
You got to.
Mhm.
You
Because,
live with yourself every day, every second of every day. Like if you don't, when you encourage yourself and believe in yourself, that'll shine through, you know. And
yes.
everyone wants to be on a winning team. People like to surround themselves with winners. So if you don't exude confidence and real confidence,
Yes.
show your flaws and be like, hey, I failed here, but I'm going to succeed this way. So people can identify oftentimes when, maybe not in the first instance, but the more they're around, they can identify when someone is being fake about their journey and when someone is being real about their journey. So it's important to be true to yourself. And once you're true to yourself, people will see that. They mightn't always agree with you,
Right.
but they would see that.
Right.
You know, and I think people like to be around those genuine, authentic individuals.
Yes. That's one of my favorite words, authentic. If you're not authentic, then it's like negative and positive. When you're not authentic, it kind of separates, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around the people too much. So Frederick B. Walcott Cox said that progress always involves risk. You can't steal second base and keep your foot on first base, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us seem to want to do things perfectly.
Yeah.
We want it to be perfect that we do. And so we want to do everything and we want to get it, but we don't want to either give up the sacrifice and we don't want to take the risk that's involved to do it. How do you help people and understand it's all right?
Yeah, no
to
risk
take that
it.
step and maybe fail. You might not fail, but you don't do it blindly where you can walk across the street in front of a truck coming down the road. But
no risk it, no biscuit, my brother. So you have to you have to. I mean, the reality of the situation is that no risk, no reward. So you have to be mindful that, okay, so what's your plan? How are you going to do it? Bingo, let's start. Yeah, you don't have to have all the pieces. You don't have to be able to connect all the dots, but you know you want to get 10 steps ahead. And if you have the first 3 dots, by the time you get to the 3rd dot, you will encounter individuals or you will find a way to get to the 4th dot. So just like when you're running, sometimes just keep your head down, 1 foot in front of the next. So, and it goes back to fear though. I think it's the fear of failing, not realizing that even if we're unsuccessful at this particular endeavor, I promise you the lessons learned from this will help you in the next endeavor in life. It just, everything is a learning process. Think about some of the things you learn and some of the things you hear and how you can relate them into a different environment that you never expected to be in.
Right.
So that's the importance of trying. If it's, God didn't put it in you for him not to see it through. So if you had the idea, it's time for you to focus on it. Maybe the idea is for you to know how to maneuver in something else in life or to show someone else how to fail forward. But I believe it's in you. You have to try it, man. There are some things I still have on the table that I need to try, whether it's fair or that I want to do it perfect. Even when it came to the book, it's like, bro, who's going to read it? You know, we all have self-doubt sometimes, you know, because we are our own worst critics. But the reality of the situation, bro, hey, it has to happen. I know someone else is going to have this journey, and so I want to help people on their journey as well. So do it. And people with less opportunity and less resources of you are doing things that you should be doing. Right. And once you realize that, but you can make it happen.
Yeah, you know, and engineers like myself sometimes want to be perfect, but that's not good. Everything. I mean, you could fail until you become perfect at it. That's
but I want you to build that bridge right though, Happy. I want you to get.
No, you want to be trusted that when you sit in that chair, you're not gonna go flat on the back, right? Yes,
Right.
you know. But when you were talking just now, it reminded me, Coach Mike Dicker, who used to be that
The Bears.
the Bears, right? He basically said, to the point that success isn't permanent and failure isn't fatal.
Right.
And that speaks directly to what you were saying just now in terms of the whole thing that you were saying today in terms of being non-linear and all of these different things.
This too shall pass.
You have to come up with a program and work hard towards it.
And then you have to be mindful of it. I'm good at staying even keel, because when you're up, I know, hey, it's good, but this is not going to last forever. When you're down, I know I'm definitely not going to stay there. So it's like, let's regroup, so you have to be mindful, but life is going to have its peaks and valleys. And even though from the outside, people might see you as success, there's some things that you're battling that you need to fight through. And I promise you, everyone is fighting what you're going through on a different level. And once we realize that we all are going through some level of the same things, we'll be more at peace, because we compare ourselves too much to someone else, not knowing A, the sacrifices they made, or B, the leg up they were given, or C, the struggle they're facing, or what they had to give, or their integrity they had to sacrifice to get what they got. So we need to be mindful of these things and put our head down. They used to say, paint your windows black and focus on your task at hand.
Yeah. Well, Stefan, Melissa just now, be scared. Do it scared.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, I jumped out of the airplane. I wasn't the most excited person in the world, didn't have to open, but I did it scared. And it was one of the most surreal feelings in the world. Jumping out of the aircraft, parasailing, parachuting, skydiving. Yes.
Yeah.
So do it scared, man. But do it.
That's good. That's like going in the pen with the pit bulls. So
Well, I have pit bulls, so my pit bulls listen to me. So.
No, but that's your dog. I talking about the ones that you don't know. So the Mario Minor says that most persons are afraid of failure, but failure can be a great teacher.
Man, awesome. Because not knowing what not to do is also important than knowing what to do. Like you said, knowing what we got to sacrifice. So those things are important. These are building blocks to success, man. We all fail. And we will all continue to fail. Right. So once we look at it, just brush it off, suck your teeth. No one likes to fail. It's not the best feeling in the world, right. But that's when the goal and reward becomes so much more rewarding, because we know what we have to overcome. We know the pitfalls we have to do. We know the ridicule that we face. We know the people who weren't with us, and then those who were actively pulling against us. And that makes the reward so much better.
Yeah, well, and I guess I could tell people, just continue to think about what Mike Dicker said, that success isn't permanent and failure isn't fatal. So, that might be some people's motto to help them move forward as they go, and they will be able to always understand, as you say, sometimes you go low or you don't meet your mark, but you get back up. I remember the first time I got strike out with 100-mile-an-hour fastball 5 times. The coach said me, get back in the box and you can hit it. And after a while, they couldn't get it past me.
Yeah, but one of the quotes in J Fitness too is, but did you die? Like, so if you feel, hey, life ain't over, right? Continue. Like, so what's the word? Once again, if we look at what's the worst could happen? Death. That doesn't happen. Yes, some of us don't like to some of us prefer death over embarrassment. I understand that. but in the reality of the situation, what is the worst that can happen? So once you get past that, now, if I succeed, where would I be? So if I didn't die, I'm going to learn. So that's I see Colin Knowles said, we are all in the same boat, so to speak, just a different struggle. Right. We in the same storm, just, some of us in different boats. We face it differently. Scary when they don't make no money.
Boy. Well, we could be here all night because we're just getting pumped up now.
Let's go.
Yeah,
all day.
all day. I dream about sports. So, but is it doable
Mhm.
in today's environment to get our minds right? We talked about a lot about the things that is affects us and the like, and hopefully we were able to show it is doable.
Mhm.
But do we need a mentor, or do we need somebody to help us with a game plan to get it done, or is this something that somebody could do on their own?
No man is an island. You know, we all need help. We all struggle with some things, so we all need help. And if we just left to our own thoughts, I don't think we will succeed. Even information we have now, someone imparted that in us. You know,
Right.
you know the whole nature versus nurture thing. So you see about fastest man in the world. He had a coach. Oftentimes, especially in our society, it's like, well, you can't help me because you didn't do it. You see about
Oh,
coach didn't
yeah.
wasn't the fastest man, and I don't recall him having an Olympic medal. You know,
Steve Kerr wasn't the best,
no, but
but he
Phil
look what he
Jackson
produced.
wasn't
Yeah,
the best.
exactly,
You know,
right.
so but the challenge we have, especially, I don't know if it's a racial thing or it's a cultural thing,
I think
is
it's
that
cultural.
because you didn't do it, you can't help me to do it. No, I had
Yeah.
some pitfalls, so I can help you avoid some of them.
Mhm.
Or you might be at a better place than I was when I started. So let me help you. Our biggest challenge that A, we want the credit for doing it by ourselves. I mean,
Right.
everyone needs help. And B, we don't think that you can help me because you didn't succeed at what I'm trying to succeed at.
Right.
But you might have the information that is necessary. So we
Right.
need to be more open-minded and accept help. And
Right.
now, and what's the worst happened? Then you realize, oh, you know what? Maybe that's not the road I want to take. But
Right.
who says you can't? You know, this is a multi-universe. If you're a Marvel fan, you just take a different route to get there.
Yep.
Information is important. Talk to leaders. Everyone doesn't have to do it the same way. Maybe you can show me how not to do it. You know, observe people. Mentorship is important. Whether you actually attach yourself to someone or just observe someone or just read about habits of successful leaders
That's right.
and then put these things into place. But once again, Happy, I don't believe in being a solo act.
Right.
We all need help because if I am good at writing with a pencil and Happy is better at sharpening the pencil, why not team up with Happy? If Happy can sharpen a pencil in 1 minute and it takes me 4 hours to sharpen a pencil, why wouldn't I team with Happy to give me a sharpened pencil so I could focus more time on writing?
Right.
And this is how we have to do things. We need to segment what we want to do and say how these people can help us. You know, I'm not big on social media or having my things together. So, you know, either my sister does it or Service Culture does my flyers and stuff like that. So hey,
Right.
I'm not there.
Right.
And what I realized the time
And
is
nothing
going to
wrong
take
with that. Right.
the time is going to take for me to do that. And it's taking me away from other stuff, whether it's business wise, studying wise, or doing
Right.
family stuff. It's going to take me away. So why not attach myself to people who can get these things done?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
You know, so that's important.
On that same point, when I came back from my tenure at Houston for my treatments, and to get off the sofa, that same Carla Knowles that you see there, my cuz, is how inspired me to get off the sofa.
Good
to
stuff.
Come try to catch her. When she running now and I trying to walk, right? But you know, but the good thing about it is she had an
Haley
injured
Shine,
knee.
Haley Shine.
Yes. She had a knee injury at the time, so I could try to catch her walking, whereas she was running. But you know, when the knee healed, that was it. You know,
That's
that
it.
was,
you miss your window, Happy. You miss your window. You miss your window.
Yeah, no. But you know, I went to the treadmill and the stationary bike. You know, because you got to find the niche that you could operate in, right? Because some
I'd
getting
find
out
it
there,
right and attack it like, and sometimes we fall into a niche. For example, when I joined Toastmasters. You know, I admire guys who went up with no notes and said, okay, that's the road I can take. So by my fourth, fifth speech, I started doing it. And while I was all right with it, what I realized is that I need my structure. I need notes. Yes, I can talk off the cuff if need be, but I need notes because sometimes my thoughts run away. My mouth get ahead of my thoughts.
Right.
But if I have the structure, even if it's just an outline, then I could say it in sequence how I want to say it. And I'm more comfortable in doing that way. So you have to realize, yeah, that might be this person's way. But when I write things down and I write my presentations, I present better. Some people don't like to be tied to their words, so they're better off going off just off the top. But I've realized that I am better. So it's like, oh, that's not important. The important thing is bringing a dynamic presentation to my audience. So therefore, I need to do it in the best way possible. Granted, we know I cannot be, and today is the day, you know, but I need something to keep me on message. So once again, finding needs. Yes, you could look at someone and be like, I would like to be like that. But after trial and error, you can say, hey, this is where I'm most comfortable. Granted, we shouldn't use our comfort zone as a crutch, but more comfortable, or you need to be more so where I'm most productive.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, folks, we've come to this point where we need to tie up a little bit. So we've talked a lot about what's happening. And so now you have an idea and a framework that you could work with in terms of setting your goals, knowing what you need to sacrifice, getting around people who are willing and able to help you achieve your goals, and develop a game plan so that you will know whatever that roadmap is so you could get to achieve your goals. And so we hope this has been value to you. But before we go, we always ask our guests if there's anything they specifically want to say to the public, because I've asked you a lot of questions, Brother Jay, but you know, you can address the audience in anything that's on your heart. You know,
I mean, I just want to address that. Like, if it's corny, it's cheesy, it's cliche, but if you believe it, you can achieve it. The challenge we have is that we sort of believe it. So we go halfway in it. Either you're in or out. The Bible spoke about being lukewarm. So either you in or you out. And we are in on the 9 to 5. We are in on other people's objective and goals and job. We need to be more in on ourselves. Get your mind right. Believe in you. Go full throttle, and life will find a way to be for you to live your best life in it. Follow your passion. Follow your goals. Be nice. Be kind, and get it done.
Awesome stuff. We'd like to thank you, Donovan J Fitness Rolle.
Yo, thank you, Happy, for having me, man.
You're quite welcome, and you know you're always welcome on something to think about. You know, because you just change the narrative. You just make sure we get something to think about to move forward.
Appreciate it, son.
Yes. We'd also like to thank everybody out there on social media who braved the storm of staying up late. Sacrifice. That's one of the keys we talk about, right?
It is late.
to listen to us this evening. And we hope it's been of value to you. And if it has, be sure to subscribe, like, and share with all your friends so that it could be of value to them also.
Yes.
And move forward. And if there's anybody out there that you would like to see us bring on the show to interview, so you can hear more about, just shoot us a note so we would know who it is and we can move forward. And our number one fan for the night, Stefan Miller, is saying, wonderful session. Can't say any better than that. So thank you, Madam Producer. We encourage everybody to pause, think about it with intentional thought, and consider where we go from here. Let this be a day that will be another step on your ladder versus going down into the pit. So with that, Donovan, say hello to the family. Kiss those double twins. Good night for us.
Will do.
And And we'll see you on the field.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Madam Producer?